What is up, everybody? In this video, we're going to talk about range expansions and mirages. So we're going to talk about small ranges expanding into large ranges and how sometimes when you think there's a big move happening, after it started happening, you think you can get into it for continuation or faded or whatever, and it turns out it just starts stopping you out. Oftentimes, very large moves, if you're not in them beforehand, it's like the mirage in a desert. You think you see the oasis, but it's not the oasis. So we're going to go ahead and look at all of this. This is part of the modules. This is one of the modules that's going to go inside the course module playlist. So if you're not familiar with that playlist, go check that out. I'm building a free course for YouTube. And if you really like what it is that I share, you can always join the coffee and just see a bunch of narration episodes. There's like 77 hours of that, and DRC episodes and case studies and prep. So and listen, I don't recommend the coffee for people that don't consume my videos on a regular basis. If you've watched one or two of my videos, don't do it. But if you really enjoy what it is that I share with you, then you will enjoy what it is that I have over there. Only if you do this. Otherwise, don't do it. Don't pursue that avenue. Okay? Plus, I only like to work with people who are serious about this business. I only want to share with people who are serious about this business, which is not most traders. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about range expansions. Yes, that's right. I'm going to pull this fucking thing up. So, as we all know, the ES chops a lot, and that will pretty much apply for NQ and Russell as well. We talk about the correlations of those in these videos, so check that out. We also talk about ranges in this video as well, which all three of these videos are in the module playlist. I recommend you go watch ranges before we get into this, so you can understand range expansions, because this is more advanced stuff. So oftentimes what you'll see is you'll get a range, right? Maybe this is worth 3 points, and then all of a sudden we break out, right? And then we get another range, maybe it's worth 3 points. So what you see here is we have two ranges, two completely separate ranges, and then maybe a bottom ticks, okay? And then it comes back in, and it's coming in back in because of bottom ticks. That's right, there's a video on that as well. So I've talked to people about this before. I've talked to you guys about this before. You're going to want to watch the module playlist at least 10 times over, since a lot of things interplay with each other, and typically you're only going to only retain 8 to 10% of what it is I'm sharing right now. So if you want to retain 100%, you're going to want to watch it, 10, 15 times. So we get a bottom tick right here, right? And then all of a sudden it comes back in that range, mid rolls it, which I've talked about, comes back out, and then it starts racking up between the two ranges. Well, all of a sudden you have a new range between this range and this range as well. So it's making it. Well, didn't mean to do that. Press Control Alt Z, bring it back. Oh fuck. All right. So it's doing its thing. It looked like this. It's between the two ranges, and then it comes out, and then it sweeps everything, and then before you know it, it's doing this shit. And what happened was we got range expansion. Okay, so it started off as a small range, another small range, and then it was between the two ranges. Now right here, I would be like, I think this could be range expanding. And then sure as a fuck shit, it turned into one large range. And if we was to draw a profile on it, yes, there's a video on profiles. If we was to draw a profile on it, it would probably look like this at this point. Okay. At first, the profile would start off like this, and then it would be double distribution. And then when we come up in that middle section, it would go from double distribution to probably something like that. Who knows? But either way, it will. This is range expansion. So oftentimes when we have a reclaimer slip, that's right, there's a video on those as well. Let's say you get a huge reclaim, right? The market has been ranging or whatever, and then it just pukes. And then it starts walking up, right? And it just keeps going up. Well, this went from a reclaim to a slip zone. And oftentimes when you see a slip, you can guesstimate that, hey, this might mean revert into the middle. The problem is the larger these are, the more ticks it covers, the more unpredictable the range will be, because it could range up here at first, or it could come back in immediately and then range in the middle, or it could do this. It could be real broad. It's hard to say. So when something like this happens, oftentimes traders are jumping into these moves. Listen, if you're not in it before it happened, it's too late. And what you need to do is not be chasing this thing up, because you're probably going to get fucked up. So when you have a big reclaim like this, it's best to wait for a range to establish itself. I actually got incredibly fucked up in my trading. I've lost quite a bit. I took a $4,300 loss today, which is beyond what it is that I am willing to lose on a daily drawdown, which is $3,000. I had no fucking clue I was pushing and whatever. I made a DRC episode on that, which you can check out. It is the November 29th, 2023 episode. You can see how I go over how I figured out why I fucked up. And that's leading us to this video. This is something that I've seen happen countless times. I just forget it because I haven't dealt with it or been fucked up by it in a while, that I know how to maneuver around these things. It happened. So, you get these range expansions like this. It could go back in, and honestly, I made stupid mistakes I talk about in that video. Like, I just was ignoring critical information and had a stupid bias that I just refused to budge off of, and that cost me quite a bit. Anyways, so the bigger these things are, the more ticks they're going, the longer you're going to wait. So in the trading slow markets video, I talk about waiting about 10 minutes before you enter in a low volatility environment. When you have a range expansion like this, you're going to want to wait. If it's like 50, 60 ticks, you're going to want to wait 30 minutes to an hour. You're going to want to really, because it could put in a small range up here, and then it could puke it, and then it could start to do this, and then it starts to just expand. And then, an hour and a half later, we realize we know what's going on here. And depending on what the higher time frame context is, we can either long it here or short it up here, or if it breaks and it pulls back, we can attempt to short it on the pullback. It really depends what's going on. However, I want to show you real world examples of range expansions so we can talk about this, because I know other traders got fucked up today. For me, it was stupidity. So let's go ahead and take a look at the charts. Okay, guys, so we have a 10-minute chart right here. So I'm going to just share range expansions with you, and this is fractal. It can happen on any time frame. So we're going to start here. So let's just go ahead and put this down so you know where we're starting. Ignore everything to the left of that. Okay. So you can see it blows up, and then it comes in right here, and then it creates its first real range right here, which is a really good profile. So again, the profile video, we talk about how this is done and why this is done this way. So this if this is your first video, then you're probably going to not understand what's going on. And I'm going to go ahead and label this shit so it's a refresher for some of you guys. Alt 2 will give me this. So that's a 20-hour range. And it's got a bottom tick on it. So what I would do to label this is, I don't know what the EV count is on it, but it is a 20-hour BTX. One bottom tick on it, as you can see. And what I would do is delete this. So we know there's a range here. It's very evident there's a range here. Up here is kind of some little goofy shit. It doesn't look really all that good, but this is pretty good range in this section. So we come up, and then we start putting in a range up here, and it's very evident there's a range here. I mean, it tightens up and shit. But for me, I would look at it from this perspective, like so. So I want to go from this wick high to this wick low in this specific circumstance. So this is kind of a dark art form. And then we got a good looking bell curve. Okay, see, these are two different auction zones. So that's two different ranges in my opinion. And we'll go ahead and do that. This seems like this is many days. That's 4 days of price action right there. So it has no top ticks on it. So we're gonna go ahead and modify that. And I don't really care about the EV count. I'm just gonna put question marks in it because this is not what this video is about. There is an EV1++ on this pullback right here. So you know what? Let's go ahead and just put it in for the fucking sakes of doing it. 4-day TTX 0, no top ticks on it. Again, there's a video on that. So if we pull this profile back, notice it's double distribution. Okay. And in the pocket pool video, we talk about double distributions. All right. So you can see how these modules are starting to fit together at this point, hopefully. So really, I mean, these are two different ranges. This is a range down here. There's a range down there. All right. So let's delete that. And then, oh man, this starts to range right here in the fucking middle. So it starts to range in the middle, and it's wicking and banging into both of these. Now, so range expansion can happen in all sorts of ways. It kind of like what we're looking at now. It can be like this. This is kind of the example we're looking at right now, right? But it could also be like this, where it walks up and then eventually in the future it blows that shit out and then, okay, or it could do this on either way. Either way, the range expands. This right here where it's stacking on top of each other, whether it's going up or down, I call that stacking. There's not a module on it as of this date. Eventually there will be. There's really no technical name for this. Stacking, there's more to stacking than this, but again, not the video. I do mention stacking in some of the other modules, just to get your brains thinking. Okay, so there's clearly, evidently, a range in this region, and I would probably, it looks the best like here. Which is a good looking curve. Right. So again, we'll go ahead and do our PVAs or prior value areas. So that way you guys can just see it again. Delete that. So that is Alt 2 and that is a day right there. EV1++ when it hits right here. This EV count on this other one would go really high. It would be like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So at some point, this thing is at an 11, which is pretty good. And then it's getting all the way through just to desensitize you guys so you know what my tags are. It mid-rolled 1, 2, 3 times. So it'd be MR3, and then it hit the other side. It almost went to target once. And it is chopping in there, so it is accepting. So that's kind of what that tag means. So the bigger the tag, the more the numbers, the better it is. And it gives me information about what's going on. This one down here would be an EV1 plus plus 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mid roll, almost target. So we're gonna go EV6 plus plus, mid roll 1, AT1, no acceptance. All right. So okay. So as you can see, at some point it just decimates all these ranges. And this one right here, it breaks out, so that's a 1. Maybe a 2, 3. I don't know. It's a 10-minute chart. I would be counting it on a 30-second, so this might be a 3. So we got an EV3 plus plus. How many hours is that? You're looking at 22 hours. We'll put 1 day. So 1 day. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4 top ticks on it, which there's a high chance it's going to blow through this range because of the count on it. And these two ranges are on top of each other, so they're kind of stacked, like I showed you the range stacking. So they blow through these fuckers. Now there are other little PVAs in here, but for the sake of looking at a 10-minute, they just absolutely decimate them. So once these white boxes or these PVAs get traded all the way to target, meaning the other side, you delete them. Okay. And then boom, it goes up like so. And then at some point, you can start to see that we had several smaller ranges. And now when we zoom out, we're starting to realize that this is one larger range. We're starting, especially like, it's a little goofed up down here because it never swept through. But you can see that we had a range up here, a range down here. It did this shit, and now the range, now it made one curve. Like, you know, in the pocket pool video, I talk about how double distributions can get filled in. And then they V-flush, and this is a V-flush. We talk about V-flushes in the top tick video. So this is like a top tick on steroids. So in my opinion, we're going to see a big push low. We should see a bottom tick of at least this region, I would think. Especially since the EV count in this section is pretty high. So yeah, that is range expansion. You have a bunch of smaller ranges, and then the way the price action chops around, it creates a bigger range. So let's look at a 30-second chart. Okay, here's a 30-second chart. So you're not going to, you know, for the most part, a 10-minute time frame is something that we're going to be like analyzing for a higher time frame structure, but I'm not going to be making a bunch of decisions off that. It's going to be coming from this 30-second time frame you see here. So what we know is, you know, you get range expansion. I mean, look, you got a fucking range here, and then, I mean, it just fucking shit happens all the time. Let's look at today, though. So you have a range there, and then you kind of have one here, and then one up here. So this is stacking. So if we were to draw this, I'm not going to draw all of the PVAs like I did on the other one. And then you have another curve there. You can see it's double distribution. So there's another curve up here, right? And then you have another curve up here. And then you get another curve up here. This is called stacking. It's kind of stair-stepping up. Can do it on the downside. At some point when the ranges are really stacked on top of each other pretty well like that, which I had no idea that was there. I literally kind of glad this example is showing up. As the ranges are stacking on top of each other like stairs or Lego blocks, it can lead to range expansion. So what's going to happen is they're going to probably flush all these stacks that are neatly on top of each other. Now, anticipating that and trying to time it is a whole nother fucking game, because you can get a shitload of stacks before. You could get 2 stacks, 3 stacks. Right here, it was kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4. Hell, there's even shit down here as well. 5, 6. This all happened in the overnight. So there were 6 fucking stacks. Look at this. Let's actually do this so you guys can see it better. I didn't fucking analyze this shit. There's another fucking stack. Alright, well, fuck. Here we go. Let's go ahead and just draw this. So we have a stack here. We have one here. You have one here. Okay. You have one here. You have one here. This is roughly the PVAs on the fucking things. You have one fucking here. You have one here. Well, fuck. Fuck me, no wonders. They fucking blew out all these stacks. Like, I didn't fucking realize this until now. I didn't prep before the session. I did half-ass prep work, and that's part of why I got fucked up, but goes to show you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stacks. And then they just flushed the whole fucking system of them. Okay? Sometimes that happens. So this entire down move makes sense from that perspective, but it also makes sense from the perspective of this V flush up here, and there's just a bigger range. All those stacks that we just drew, you can't see them all on the 10-minute here. But overall, it makes sense from this smaller time frame, because if you go back, there's no stacks. It starts from here and it goes up. Hell, there's one right there as well. Fuck. Which they don't go all the way through it, but it's better when they're stacking up like that. It's not really when it's like jumps and then comes back down, okay? This isn't really a good quality range stack compared to this, where it just stair steps its fucking way up. Which I think I talk about in another video. If you watch a lot of my videos, you'll see that. So it's just that more clean stacking motion, not like this where it's down here. Yeah, we still want to know about this value zone, but when it blows up and then does this, not really. It's a range stack when it's cleanly-ish stacking on top of the next one after the next one. Typically, they're going to flush that out. Now, it doesn't have to be just like that, so that's going to be range expansion. So they blew all that shit out. Where does that start at? Let's actually... So we're looking at the 10-minute. Yeah. Okay, so it starts... that stacking just starts right here, and then it goes up. So, I mean, we know that before those stacks happen, we were range expanding, right? Kind of like in this region, because these are where those stacks are on that 30-second. We know there's a stack up here, and we know there's a stack here, and then they blast both of them. So you can get range expansion, not on just stacks, but just ranges being on top of each other, and then they start to chop in the middle. Right, you have the one down here, so they could come through here and then they start chopping in this region as well, because there is another range down here, as we saw, that hasn't traded all the way through. And we could go down here and maybe come back up, or maybe we keep going. But either way, what we know is range expansions can happen in all sorts of ways. So let's look at today. So I guess we got a lesson in on stacks and how they range expand. So I guess I don't need to do another module on stacking. I do want to show example videos of stacks, which won't be in this one. Trading these things, obviously. If you can anticipate a stack, you can get the big flush like this. Whereas if it's range expanding and it's not stacking, they're kind of like one on top of the other, and then there's one in the middle. You can't really like time that very well, which you're gonna actually see right here where it's sloppy. So when you have a down move like this, is a reclaim up here. So if you once you subscribe to the coffee, you'll notice that I make blue boxes like this, okay? And these are reclaims. Again, there's a video on it. Once it comes back through, it's going to be a slip zone. So it comes through down here, and then it comes back up. So that reclaim got taken back, right? And it walks up. So I know in this specific area, I know somewheres in here, we could start to range expand. Because I know that when we have these reclaims, slip zones, that's another form of potential area where we could start to range. And the thing is, if you know where potential ranges might set up, there's edge in that if you can do it right. It just really helps. I wouldn't say necessarily there's edge in it. It just helps with contextual cues. It can help you guesstimate where the market might be going. Now, this is a very big reclaim. I mean, you're talking a 59 tick dump, and then it comes back up a lot. So when this happens, what did that retrace? 61 ticks, roughly 60 ticks. When that happens, you really need to wait for an established range. And in the slow market video with this sick ass thumbnail where I'm a turtle head, I talk about waiting 10 minutes. Well, on something this large, you want to wait 30 minutes to an hour. Okay. So here's the thing. They finally put in a range for 40 fucking minutes. This range is a bit tight, though. This range right here is only about, that average rotation is about 2 points. 6 ticks, 7, 8. Yeah, not even. This is a little tight. And I got fooled by this, as well as some other things. So if we really zoom in on it, you can see how tight the fucking thing is. And then let's go ahead and just sort of draw a white box on it so we can kind of guesstimate where it is. So they puke it, right? They puke right there. And that's a little tight. When you have a big move like this, in my opinion, you want a larger range to establish. That is a little too tight. It gives me the 30-minute to hour window I would want to see, but it's a little too tight. Like, I want to see a taller range of a magnitude of that type of reclaim. I don't need the range to be as big as that reclaim, but I need something that has more girth to it. That sounds fucking horrible. So we start to get another range down here. They blow out that one. You can see. And then they fucking slam through this one. So if we was trading value zones, which is, these are too small. I don't trade these. I mean, you could, but I personally don't. They blow through that one, so if I was drawing profiles on either of these, again, they're a little too small for me, but you could see there's probably a perfect curve up there. Yeah. Again, it's just too small for my liking. I mean, this shit gets real fractal, so, you know, you can see there's one down there. You could use that shit if you wanted. The market blows out the value zone there, and then it comes back up, and then it starts going in the middle. Wow, that sure does look like the fucking 10-minute. Remember, we have a range down here, a range up here, and then a range in the middle. This is a smaller fractal version of that happening. And then we start to range expand. So at this point, and I would pull this back to see this pivot low, pull it back to roughly here. And then you can see that at this point, there's, you know, this is the range now. Which I do believe that's in my prep as well for tomorrow. So, you can see these small ranges up here. Here, it started doing this, and then it expanded. Now, this fucking thing goes on for 2.5 hours. So, at this point, that's pretty good. We can really start to lean into this thing and attempt to trade it. Now, what's interesting, just for the sake of this shit. So this is a developing value area. It's not a prior value area. So on this 10-minute chart is still developing. It's higher time frame. It's still forming. Now there's times where it forms, it breaks out, and then it range expands. So you remember earlier in the video we had the white area up here and then one here, and then it blew them out, and now it's range expanding. So what was prior value areas built, we're staying here. So you start to mush all that shit together because the range is expanding, and it's still a range up here. So these things, like these little ranges, will get blown out, and then they turn into bigger ones. So I'm going to put value area high on this, and then 10-minute. And then I'm going to color it green. It's not going to be white, because the problem also with like developing value areas or curves that aren't done is those value areas are going to move up and down. So when that's happening, if you're not paying attention, it can be a problem. So we have this here. Let's copy and adjust. And we're going to put this here. This is the target on the downside. So we're going to go ahead and put val for value area low, value area high. Got the V flush. Now this is the chart number 8. So let's plot chart number 8 onto our 30-second here. So we can see that higher time frame charts levels. So there's my value area high. There's the low. So hypothetically, we want to see some form of acceptance. So now that we kind of understand what range expansion is, and that's the thing. Before I get any further ahead, let's talk about mirages for just a moment. So a mirage is when you see a move like this and you try to get in on either side because it's moving. Well, the thing is, you're probably going to get fucked up, because check this out. It looks pretty straightforward in hindsight, right? The thing is, look at right in this region. These candles wick back over 13 ticks, 14 ticks right here. So if you're trying to catch this fucking thing, it's blowing you out on the downside, right? But if you notice what's happening at this point, you try to get in it, it goes against you 13, 14 ticks. Right? And then the fucking, it's like, well, fuck. And then you try to trade it down here, you fade it 12 ticks, it comes up, but then it comes back to you, and then it goes up, and then it comes back and blows you out on the back end. So if I was trying to catch it there, we get blown out fucking 12 ticks on the back end. Right? Or if I'm trying to fucking short the fucking thing, we're getting fucking... We're trying to short it. Okay, we get in it, and then it works, it goes an additional fucking 3 ticks, 24 ticks. But we think we're going to ride it out, and then it comes up against us, and then it blows us out on the back end. So it's a fucking mirage. Like, for my trading system and my methodology, I just really don't have edge once this already goes. And I don't have edge when there's no like really established ranges. So for those of you who are attempting to model what it is that I do at this point in my trading, when these things are already going, I really don't have edge, and it's just getting into any little type of thing, you can get fucked up. Now there could be some major levels down here we could be watching, like major low nodes across all the correlations, or just some higher time frame, multiple factors of support in here to fade, and we need to wait for acceptance, 10 minutes or whatever. But if there ain't shit, we don't really want to be catching these things, and we don't want to be catching them right away when they hit specific levels. We want to wait, and we want to wait for the right side of the V, or just wait for some time to pass before we actually attempt to get in it, because trying to hit a knife can be dangerous business. So once this is going, this fools a lot of retail traders, a lot of new traders. It is a mirage in the desert. You see an oasis, you see volatility, you see movement, you think you see the palm trees, and you think you see water. You're very thirsty at this point. You've been in the desert for maybe a week or so. Very, dry desert, just sand everywhere. You feel the dry air. Haven't drank for a week. Your throat is just so fucking dry that you'll drink almost fucking anything. You would drink your own piss if you had any piss to pee out. And you're just crawling through the fucking desert, and then you see the heat waves. You see those heat waves just in the back, and then you're like, what the fuck is that in the distance? Is that an oasis? Is those trees? I see trees. I want to go under those trees. I want to get underneath those trees and get some shade, and then you get closer to it, and then you're like, oh man, there's some water, and then you start thinking about the water hitting your throat. You're like, I really want to drink that water. I don't give a fuck how dirty it is. That could be full of fucking mosquitoes. I'm drinking that shit. You know what I mean? It could be stagnant. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to drink that water. So that's what this price action is. This price action is the oasis in the desert. And when you see that moving, your throat's real dry. This is, you want to trade, you're hankering for a trade, so you're going to take a trade, and then you fucking get into the motherfucker, and then you just get fucked up. And when you guys watch the coffee, you subscribe to the coffee, I talk about range expansions all the time, so you're able to see that. It's going to really help you. You're going to see that, and it's going to help you identify range expansions if this is interesting to you, because that's what the markets do, and understanding this concept will help you understand the price action better and why it does what it does, and how sometimes you just need to wait, because time is your friend. The market pays those who are patient and punishes those who are not patient. And when it's moving like this, I don't find edge in that, because you get these micro whipbacks. You get these movements where it's whipping back, and it's just like, it's too violent, and you think it's going the other way, and then blah, 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 blah. It's like a fucking reclaim, what's it going to do? And it may not keep running, you know what I mean? And then it does this shit and it's just faking you out, but it's like, it's going, if you're not in this when it fucking started, you fucking missed it. Okay, and this is if you're trading my system, my methodology. And this fucking shit, these fucking channels, those of you who are subscribed to the coffee, you probably hear me bitch about these fucking channels. I'm getting better at dealing with these things, but for me, it's ranges, and these fucking channels are like an oasis in the desert as well. They used to fool me all the time, and it kind of fucking did today. If you want, again, you want to watch that, here's the DRC episode. I mean, this explains everything that happened. Because it was a chain reaction of several events that led to fuck-ups, and even though I fucked up, had I managed well, we could have got into a really good trade, which I'll explain here in a minute. But these fucking channels, these things, you just so unpredictable. Sometimes, because it could be a bunch of stop runs, essentially. And I know it looks like range stacks, but it's not. See how it stacks, but it pukes, and then it pukes up, and then it stacks, but then it pukes this one, and then it blows up. It's not the same as a range stack because it's puke testing the bottom ones. Obviously, it gets blown out because we can identify this could be a potential slip zone. It's just they go up here for fucking ages. So the fucking thing churns. At this point, it's like, all right, there's your range. This is a little too tight, but I got fooled by that. Again, series of mistakes, and I was kind of trading against this value area high, which was on the 10-minute chart. See, the thing is, and this is where I first got fucked up, was somewheres, I want to say right here. So at the time, the value area low was a little bit lower because, again, this fucking thing is moving around. At the time, it was like down there. We had about, that says 21 minutes. We had about 20 minutes of acceptance, meaning the price is trading above the value area. If it's just peeking through there, and I'll do a separate video on acceptance, a separate module, but just to kind of lube up your brain a little bit. If the fucking, what I want to see is it like, and we talk about it in like the slow markets video as well. I want to see it really like staying above or below a level for some time. And 20 minutes is pretty good. But I'm over here fading the fucking thing, and it's like you still have reclaim on the backside, fat cat. It could continue up, right? Because at this point in time, when I'm getting in it, wherever it was, 72 right here, I remember it, 72.25 or 50. At this point, there's still a lot of reclaim behind me, and they take it. And I talk about in the slip reclaim video how you don't want these fucking things on the backside, and I was just too early because I was trading smaller time frame structure. Like at the time, there was a low node there, and there was some other things, which was good, but the problem was I'm ignoring these other things that just aren't fitting. Like, it's like I got a pair of fucking sevens in poker, and I'm fucking going all in on chips. When in reality, I got a reclaim on my ass in. That's not good. So it's not the best hand. It's like, the small structure, the smaller, real small stuff was great, but I was just ignoring shit because I was just paying attention to this V flush up here, which contextually still made sense, but timing it just wasn't ready to really hit a short yet because we had this backside reclaim. Hopefully, if you've watched all these modules, you're starting to see how all this shit ties together and how you can fuck up and you just don't want a reclaim or a slip really on your back end. And right here, it pukes up, slips, fills in the slip, puke. So we know there's a slip zone in this region right here. So we know this is range expansion. But this is tighter range up here, but we know this entire area here could become a bigger range, which seems to be the case in the overnight. Now, it's not really pulled up, but the bigger this reclaim action is, the more random the range can be. It can be way up here in the middle or down here, or it could be the whole thing. You could be doing one of those three things, so we need more time to figure out which one of those it is before we start timing shit. Because the edge is the edge. So, you know, at this fucking point, you know, it's churning above value area high. Now, there's a higher time frame value area high across all three markets, Russell, NQ, and ES. And at the time when all three markets were up here, I show more of it in that DRC episode. But at the time, all three markets are above their value area highs and accepting. So at this point, this range is telling us long. Okay. Also, when this pulled down, guess what this hit? Right here. It hit the fucking POC. So let's pull this back. I don't remember if I was measuring this or what the fuck. So it pulls back to the POC. Really to the tick. Almost. I mean, it breaches it ever so slightly. Because this is what the curve looked like at the time of this push down. That's a mid-roll. The A+ video, I talk about that very thing. And here we are seeing it again. Remember, repetition is the mother of getting better at anything. So I repeat the same shit over and over because repetition is just how you get better at shit. And when I keep going, hey, mid-roll, 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 and you keep seeing it over and over, eventually you're like, okay. And then you fucking start to see it, and then you can use it for context so you can exploit it later. Anyways, so that mid-roll, they pop it up. And oftentimes when you get the price top ticking, there are times that, I mean, this is a V flush, but when it's top ticking like that, there are times where it comes back in and mid rolls. Go watch the top tick video again, because I do believe I talk about mid rolls. So it could mid pivot and then come out and then continue up. So at this point in time, this is where that mid pivot is. At this point in time, it's accepting. It looks like it's been up there for 2.5 hours. It could continue to go. But then the range fails. And not only does it fail, but it puts in a measured move. I talk about measured moves in other videos. There's no exclusive module on measured moves. But again, tying everything together, watch the whole playlist. You don't want to watch it 10 to 15 times because, you know, you're only retaining 8 to 10% of what it is that I'm saying, because some of you people tell me in the comments, holy fuck, that was dense, or wow. You just got to keep watching it over and over. And that's assuming you love trading. And you're passionate about hearing this shit. So a measured move, would we take the body? This is a modded Fibonacci tool, by the way. Just the edges and the midpoint. That's all I want to know with it. I don't care about Fibonacci levels. So this is about the body width of this upper range. So that's about 21 ticks. So anytime you have a range break out, it typically will break out about the body width to the upside or downside. So we're looking at a 21 tick move out. And sure as a fuck shit, it's a little more than 21 ticks. That's a 21 tick line. It goes, and it can overshoot. It goes 29 ticks before it starts retracing in. So it starts to come back up, and it pivots back here. And look, it's a reclaim, right? Check it out. Same fucking shit over and over and over. This is a range stack here. Look at it. Micro range stack. Right? It walks its way up. And then it takes that reclaim back. Again, these fucking reclaims get taken back. And then they come down and they just flush out those stacks. Like we've seen. It's the same shit over and over. Obviously, execute and management and implementing this stuff is a skill set. It's going to take you some time. However, the point of what I'm showing you is to understand these concepts and techniques and understand that price action isn't as random as you fucking think. You just need to know its behaviors, and chances are you don't know why it does what it does. So that's why I'm sharing this with you. These videos take forever to make, so you can donate as little as $3 to the coffee, or you can sign up for a month. Learn a thing or two. So they come back. Now, at this point, from here to here, we are 30 minutes under the value area high on all three markets. Because, like, if you look at Russell 10-minute, same thing. At that point in time, we were under this value area high. Same thing with NQ. There's that mid pivot. Now it kind of pivots in a weird spot on, does it pivot right on the mid exactly? Not quite, but this is when ES mid pivoted. Now it's below the value area high at this point for over 30 minutes. Again, those are 10-minute charts. Don't want to get into excruciating detail. And at this point, I'm watching it. I'm already done, right? I'm already fucked for the day. And I go, fuck, dude. This could be a short. This looks like a good short. You know, you have this big shit. You have the mirage in the desert. Finally, we get, like, big picture structure. Something I understand. I know how to maneuver around. And then it does this. Pukes the body width. Pulls back. 30 minutes accepted under the value areas across all three markets. All three markets are correlating. So therefore, there's a good probability of a down move. And not only that, but we have the V flush on ES, 10-minute, V flush, top tick on NQ as well. Not the Russell, not a top tick, but either way, Russell's still back in the value area after going to an extreme. So that's good. And then I could have picked up 44 ticks because there was a value zone down here on the higher time frame. On the 10-minute chart. If I'm not mistaken, the way I did it, there was something down here. Might have been this one right here. It might have been that or something like that. I had something drawn here. I don't remember exactly what the fuck it was. I think it could have been that, to be honest. That makes sense because there's a range there. But we come in and we hit right at that area. And I would have scaled the first 2/3 off right there. 44 tick fucking trade for me. That would have fixed all my problems. Even with the shitty trades accounted for. By the way, go check out my Twitter or X. I will always call it Twitter. Go check out my X. I talk about this today twice. And I analyze more of it. So if you like what you're seeing in this video, you can check out those two posts. So let me show you a little bit more on the execution end of this fucking thing. What's going on? Okay. Up until this point, right? So this is how I like to backtest things, is like just draw the profile. What did the profile look like at that time? Right? Now, in my opinion, this fucking profile, I want to use more than RTH. I don't remember how far back I wanted to go. I think I had it about in that region. She's pulling up, and then what's happening at this point in time is, you know, she's pulling up into a low node cluster intraday. Takes almost all the reclaim back. Obviously, she's building a curve in this region. So between this price action here and here intraday, it's building a curve. I know this one up here blew out, and then also looking at my correlations, there was other things going on that I'm like, this looks like a fucking short to me. Couldn't trade it though. Couldn't fucking trade it. So I kind of really fucked myself. But anyways, you know, it's gonna happen. So that, my friends, is mirages, range expansions, range stacking, and just how PVAs, prior value areas, can morph and hit each other, and it kind of goes with the pocket pool video. You're just seeing more of that, just how to read price action and understand what range expansions are, understand the dangers of reclaims, slips, and if you're trading my methodology and system or attempting to understand that when you have a hard one-way move, if you weren't in it before it happened, you missed it, so you're going to have to wait. And depending on how big that move is, you might have to wait several fucking hours. There's times where I miss trend days, and I gotta wait many fucking hours for a range to establish before I can even get into it. Might even have to wait till the next fucking day, because auction market theory never sleeps. The price action never sleeps, because it is 24 hours. This is why I think it's ridiculous to run just RTH profiles, and that's that, because if you're doing that, then you wouldn't understand what's happening on the 10-minute time frame and understand there is a range on a higher time frame being set up. And there's a reason it's doing what it's doing, because this is how you get big trades. Price action is fractal. Profiles are fractal. We saw fractal range expansion in today's examples. So everything I'm telling you is fractal. So what's working on small time frames works on bigger time frames, and we need more yays than nays. We need a good hand before we place a bet. So I want all these things that I've been talking about in all these modules to be in my favor. I want range advantage, mean advantage, time advantage in my favor to get into a high quality trade. And then I want to be leaning on lower nodes of the structure because of the less popular prices. And there you go. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope you learned something. I hope this was valuable. We'll see you in the next one.